a background about what FIRST is.
So my name is Kevin Hoyt. I am an evangelist with Adobe. My job is to travel the world and tell people what Adobe is doing. And these days we're doing an awful lot in web standards. So we're here at WebVisions talking about all the kind of different things we're doing in that respect. So what's happening in the landscape of web standards right now is really a very rapid pace of innovation. Almost unbridled, which almost creates its own problems, really. But the idea of the desktop, for example, on Chrome updates itself. It keeps itself current. Mobile devices, their operating systems are updated frequently and keep themselves current. And that means that they all have very current browsers and very current browser implementations, including many cutting-edge features that are still proposals in progress in terms of the standards committees, but you can use them today. And so this rapid innovation is giving us new capabilities and new APIs at a rate at which we've never seen before, and the ability to use them in a fairly rapid very rapid pace as well. So instead of having to wait, it's going to be another 10 years before everybody has this version of this API, now it's really condensing and it's becoming much more rapid, especially in the mobile space. So that kind of rapid innovation creates a whole new set of needs. That's why we see a lot of different JavaScript frameworks, a whole lot of new set of opportunities. So for example, something like PhoneGap, being able to produce native applications that you can monetize in the app stores, and so on and so forth. Almost is actually the exact opposite. It's really the importance of mobile in terms of web standards. I don't think if it was just the desktop that we would have had this rapid pace of innovation. It's the fact that we have mobile devices with current browsers that kind of opens up the door to really experiment with these new technologies. And the fact, again, that the mobile devices tend to keep current by themselves enables us to again, rapidly innovate and build content on these new APIs. So it's really the case where mobile begot the innovation of web standards, not so much the web standards begot the mobile. Adobe is involved in all sorts of facets of web standards. So we have engineers, for example, we have a whole team of engineers, as an example, that work on WebKit right now. They are actively contributing to WebKit in numerous ways. So for example, we've got some really cool CSS additions that we're proposing to do shaders and filters and blend modes and all kinds of really interesting things there, but also behind the scenes. So for example, the team is actively building unit testing around WebKit to make it so that when other companies who are working at WebKit go to add features, it gets added without breaking anything else. So we have engineering level involvement on the browsers. We have standards involvement in terms of the committees and proposals and in validating and working those through the processes. We also, of course, have tooling. Adobe, we make our money on tools, and we really are kind of we're a very creative company, and we like to enable the creatives to deliver their content the way that they envisioned it. And so we have a whole wealth of tooling that we're working on, some of which we've announced, some of which we haven't. So outside of, for example, the PhoneGap content, which we were already talking about, we also have tooling like Edge. Edge is around mobile web content and animating it, so creating and delivering animated content with web content. Capability to leverage Shadow, which is another kind of a product we've kind of started talking about, which is the capability to keep our different screens in sync and debug them very cleanly without having to go to each device and manage it individually. We also then have a variety of open source projects. So for example, PhoneGap or Cordova. We've also announced Brackets, which is a open source HTML, JavaScript, CSS code editor that's available on GitHub. So we're actively involved in the contribution to JavaScript and web standards in general. We have a very big committer on jQuery mobile, big committer of content with jQuery on the whole. So we really are thoroughly involved across the entire spectrum of web standards.